Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. My name is Adam Hakim bin Ahmad Shanif from Institut Pendidikan Guru Kampus Tun Hussein On, PISMP TESL September 2021 intake. Today, I'll be presenting my research title, TESL Pre-Service Teachers' Perceptions of Using Show and Tell Approach in Enhancing ESL Pupils' Speaking Skills. This research explores how future English teachers perceive the show and tell approach and how it can be used to improve pupils' speaking proficiency. In Malaysia and globally, English speaking skills are essential for communication in education, business, and daily life. However, ESL learners often struggle to speak confidently due to limited vocabulary, low confidence, and few authentic practice opportunities. The show and tell approach is a creative and engaging method that helps address these issues by encouraging pupils to speak about real objects or experiences. Despite its benefits, many classrooms still emphasize reading and writing more than speaking, which can increase pupils' anxiety and limit fluency development. Moreover, there is a theory-practice gap in teacher training. Pre-service teachers learn about communicative approaches, but many find it challenging to implement them effectively in real classrooms. This study, therefore, investigates TESL pre-service teachers' perceptions of show and tell to bridge this gap and support effective speaking instruction. This research had three main objectives. First, to examine TESL pre-service teachers' awareness of the show and tell approach. Second, to identify challenges faced in using it to improve pupils' speaking skills. Third, to explore potential strategies to enhance its implementation. Accordingly, the study asked three questions. First question is, what is the awareness level among TESL pre-service teachers? Second, what challenges do they face in using the show and tell approach? And the third question is, what strategies could improve its use in the ESL classroom? Previous research shows that show and tell significantly enhances confidence, fluency, and vocabulary, which said by Aprianto and Shakur 2022. It also offers a structured yet creative platform for pupils to express themselves and promotes meaningful communication. Studies by Betobun and Rokmah 2024 and Bangun 2018 found that it improves participation and confidence while creating supportive classroom environments. However, challenges persist: student anxiety, mixed proficiency levels, and classroom management. Additionally, Sanchez et al. 2024 highlight a gap between theory and practice in teacher preparation. This justifies the need to study pre-service teachers' perceptions as emphasized by Saptiani and Prabowo, year 2024. This study was guided by three major theories. Firstly, it is Vygotsky's sociocultural theory, year 1978, which it emphasizes learning through social interaction and scaffolding. Show and tell acts as a mediating tool within the zone of proximal development, which known as ZPD. Next is Gardner's multiple intelligences theory, year 1983. It recognizes that learners have different strengths. Show and tell also activates linguistic, bodily kinesthetic, and interpersonal intelligences. And the third theory is Krashen's input hypothesis, year 1982. This theory focuses on comprehensible input and meaningful output. During show and tell, pupils both listen and present, creating balanced language exposure. Together, These theories support show and tell as an interactive, student-centered approach. This study used a quantitative survey design. The participants were 100 TESOL pre-service teachers from IPG campus Tun Hussein On. A structured questionnaire with a 5-point Likert scale was used. It had 4 sections: demographics, awareness, which has 8 items, challenges, which has 5 items, and strategies, which had 8 items. A pilot study involving 30 respondents produced a Cronbach's alpha value of 0.879, showing high reliability. Data were analyzed using SPSS, employing descriptive statistics to determine the mean and standard deviation for each construct. Out of 100 participants, 75% were female and 25% were male. Most were 22 years old, which is 88%, while 11% were 23 and 1% were 21 years old. The group was largely homogeneous, sharing similar training and practical experiences. This consistency adds credibility to the responses, as all participants had comparable exposure to classroom realities. The first finding revealed high awareness levels, with mean scores ranging from 4.39 to 4.57. Pre-service teachers strongly believe that show and tell is effective in enhancing pronunciation, vocabulary, and fluency. They also understood its objectives and implementation process and acknowledged the need for formal training to optimize its use. In conclusion, pre-service teachers demonstrated strong pedagogical awareness and appreciation for the approach's value in developing pupils' speaking skills. The second finding showed that participants recognized multiple challenges faced by pupils with mean scores between 4.33 and 4.48. The most common issue was anxiety and reluctance to speak publicly, which the mean is 4.48. Other difficulties included mixed proficiency levels, which the mean score of 4.46, limited vocabulary and grammar, mean score of 4.40, low confidence, mean score of 4.38, and time constraints, 4.33 mean score. These findings indicate that pupil struggles are not only linguistic but also emotional and environmental, enforcing the importance of supportive classroom practices. The third finding revealed strong support for various strategies to enhance show and tell, with means ranging from 4.48 to 4.67. Top strategies included positive reinforcement, with the mean score of 4.67, teacher modeling, mean score of 4.64, selecting familiar topics, mean score of 4.63, and allowing real objects, mean score of 4.60. Structured sentence status 4.57, and peer feedback 4.48 mean score. These results reflect that pre-service teachers value multifaceted approaches that target both emotional comfort and language development. The findings align closely with the 3 theories introduced earlier. According to Krashen's input hypothesis, show and tell offers both input and output opportunities, promoting authentic language use. Gardner's theory is evident in strategies that tap into linguistic, interpersonal, and bodily kinesthetic intelligences through expressive movement and interaction. Lastly, Vygotsky's sociocultural theory explains how challenges like anxiety or vocabulary gaps reflect learners' zone of proximal development (ZPD), where scaffolding and peer support are crucial. Thus, the study demonstrates that pre-service teachers' perceptions are theoretically grounded and pedagogically informed. These findings have several practical implications. For teacher education, programs should integrate hands-on training, including micro-teaching focus on speaking skills. For curriculum design, allocate sufficient time for speaking activities and ensure clear learning outcomes tied to oral communication. As for policymakers, support teachers through resources, professional development, and also manageable class sizes to promote interactive learning. As for classroom practice, teachers should provide scaffolding, use positive reinforcement, and maintain low anxiety, supportive environment that encourage participation. Based on these insights, 8 key recommendations were made. First is strengthen pre-service training with micro-teaching and demonstration lessons. Secondly, establish resource banks for show and tell topics, rubrics, and strategies. Thirdly, implement systematic professional development and workshop. Fourth, introduce mentorship programs pairing new and experienced teachers. Fifth, develop balanced assessment frameworks focusing on fluency, accuracy, and confidence. Six, encourage collaborative lesson planning among teachers. Seventh, integrate technology such as video recording or virtual presentation. And last but not least is allocate adequate classroom time or oral communication activities. Future research could explore several areas such as longitudinal studies following pre-service teachers into their careers. Next is comparative studies between rural and urban contexts. Other than that is effectiveness research measuring actual improvements in speaking performance. Next is pupil and in-service teachers' perspectives on show and tell. Next is mixed method studies combining surveys, observations, and interviews should be added for future research. Research on cultural and technological adaptations of the approach also needed to be made. And finally, development of assessment tools for reliable speaking evaluation. To summarize, TSL pre-service teachers showed a high level of awareness of show and tell value. They identified clear challenges such as anxiety, limited vocabulary, and mixed proficiency. They also proposed effective strategies like positive reinforcements, modeling, and familiar topics. These findings align with Vygotsky's, Gardner's, and Krashen's theories, confirming that show and tell is both theoretically sound and practically valuable. Ultimately, this approach can cultivate pupils' communicative competence when supported by proper training, structured implementation, and also encouraging classroom environments. With that being said, that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Again, I am Adam Hakimi bin Ahmad Shanif from IPG Campus Tun Hussein On, PISMP TESOL September 2021 intake. I am happy to answer any inquiries or questions. Thank you once again, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.